You're looking at pitcher Dwight Gooden, who last pitched in the playoffs as a New York Met in 1988. Mike Scioscia for the Dodgers took him deep. Home run upended the Mets. They went on to knock off the A's and win the World Series. Tonight, 9 years later, Gooden, who has never won a postseason game, gets another opportunity as he prepares to pitch in his biggest game as a Yankee. At stake, a chance to help New York close out the series against Cleveland at Jacobs Field and move a step closer to repeating as world champions. In the National Football League, this is the play that knocked the Buccaneers from the ranks of the unbeaten. Defensive tackle Gabe Wilkins picks off Trent Dilfer, heads 77 yards to pay dirt, helping the Pack to a 21-16 victory, notching their 22nd consecutive game of victory here at Lambeau, including the playoffs. And hello, everyone. I'm James Brown here at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, I'll be joined by my colleagues Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Ronnie Lott in just a bit to review an exciting day of action in the National Football League, including that big matchup that took place right here between Green Bay and Tampa Bay, as well as the Giants' upset of the Dallas Cowboys. But right now, let's take you back to Hollywood and Chip Carey.
All right, JB, thank you very much. We're getting set for Game 4 of the American League Division Series, the Yankees and the Indians. Without further ado, let's join Joe Buck for more information from Jacobs Field.
All right, Chip, thank you very much. It is an absolutely beautiful night here at the Jake, getting ready for Game 4 as the Yankees try to put their name in that final spot left in this postseason dance card. Tim McCarver, Bob Brenly will be with me in just moments. But right now, before baseball, back up to Lambeau Field in Green Bay.
Meeting in Game 4 of their American League Division Series, and guess what? The big unit seeking redemption today. Starting on 3 days rest, he got off to a rough start, trailing 1-0 early, 2-1 in the fifth, and Geronimo Barroa, guess what, Steve? Another solo home run to give Baltimore the 3-1 lead, and that's all Mike Mussina needed today.
Mussina was dominating in both these games. Forget about him not being able to come back on 3 days.
And how about Randy Myers when he comes in? It's automatic. Mike Bordick to throw to first. That's it. Seattle loses the series 3-1. They lose the game 3-1. Mike Mussina beats Randy Johnson twice in this series, and Baltimore now moves on to the American League Championship Series to face either the Yankees or the Indians. A big loss for Baltimore, though, in this series, Steve, though, is Arthur Lee Rhodes. Strained his left elbow. He is still day-to-day as Baltimore looks ahead now to the next round of playoffs. His absence could mean big, big problems for Davy Johnson.
Well, you know, you're not right very often, but on this case,
me,
you
man.
are right on the head. Arthur Rhodes gives Davy Johnson so much flexibility and the best bullpen in baseball. He's the one guy in that pen that can go 3 innings. He's a lefty that throws gas, and he allows Jesse Orozco to come in and just have to face one left-handed hitter. Benitez can be wild, and believe me, if they go on in this series to face the New York Yankees, we're talking about Tino Martinez, talking about Paul O'Neill. O'Neill's on fire right now, and also Wade Boggs. You need a guy like Arthur Rhodes to settle those guys down.
In this series for Seattle, Steve, Ken Griffey Jr., 56 home runs in the regular season, did not have any luck at all against Baltimore in this series at all.
Well, you know, Davy Johnson held out Rafael Palmeiro from facing Randy Johnson. Griffey hits 111 against Mussina. He's never been able to hit him through his career, and yet he still went out there. But it wasn't just Griffey. It was that entire offense. That pitching staff dominated the Mariners' offense and absolutely shut them down.
At a time of season when you look to unsung heroes, how about Mike Bordick of the Orioles? Came into this game today hitting .500. 4 for 10 in the series. He was one of those big unsung heroes.
You know, at the beginning of this whole series, we said look for guys that are part-time players or bit players during the regular season to jump up and bite you during the playoffs. You don't generally count on those guys to do anything, but it seems like every time, if you forget about them, they'll hurt you.
So Baltimore is in the American League Championship Series. Who will they play next? Well, let's find out. It'll be either the Yankees or the Indians in time for our Fox Watch. Tonight in Cleveland, the Yankees look to advance to the ALCS for the second season in a row. Dwight Gooden takes the mound for New York in his biggest start in nearly 10 years. Joe, Tim, and Bob have more from the Jake.
All right, Chip, it is an absolutely beautiful night here in Cleveland. We lucked out. Weather is beautiful, getting ready for Game 4 of this division series between the Indians and the Yankees. Welcome to the broadcast booth. Yeah, I am Joe Buck, along with Tim McCarver and Bob Brenly flanking me. And as we get ready for Game 4, we need to talk about the starting pitchers. Tonight, it's Doc Gooden on the mound for the Yankees instead of David Cone, bothered by the bad shoulder. We asked Joe Torre moments ago his thoughts on sending Doc out to the mound tonight.
Well, we try not to dwell on what-ifs and just play the best we can with who we have out there. And I'm just fortunate that we have a Doc Gooden. You know, sometimes you have to go drag somebody out of the bullpen to start a game if you have an injury. But we're fortunate to have Doc, who's pitched well the last few outings, and hopefully the extra rest isn't going to affect them adversely.
Well, I guess that is the key question for a guy like Joe Torre and Mel Stottlemyre. Guys, what should they expect out of Doc Gooden? Not a lot of innings this season, and he has quite a bit of rest under his belt heading into this start.
And Joe Torre, I thought it was interesting saying that he can't dwell on it if it doesn't happen, but we can certainly dwell on it. What if Dwight Gooden doesn't have his good curveball? That's his best pitch right now. If he does, it'll be around a 100-pitch performance that'll carry him into the 5th or 6th inning and let that good bullpen take over. They have not given up a run so far in the first 3 games.
Meanwhile, for fans seeing Dwight Gooden in the postseason for the first time since 1988, Bob Brenly, this is not the same pitcher they saw back in '88.
Oh, vintage Doc Gooden of the mid-'80s just reared back and threw fastballs by big league hitters. He doesn't do that anymore. Tim mentioned a great curveball. He added a slider. He throws a changeup. He's a little craftier now. And apparently he's been very crafty against the Indians throughout his American League career because he has dominated Cleveland. 5-0 throughout his career, including 3-0 this year, and a great ERA in both instances.
Dwight Gooden will try to send the Yankees back to the ALCS for a rematch with the Baltimore Orioles, while tonight, Orel Hershiser tries to send this series to Game 5 tomorrow night. We're getting ready to go. Baseball at the bottom of the hour. Right now, let's send it back to Chip Carey in Hollywood.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Steve and I will have more on Game 4 between the Yankees and the Indians in just a few minutes. But first, we'll send it to break, and when we come back, we'll go back live to Lambeau Field. JB and crew have more NFL scores and highlights from beautiful Green Bay, Wisconsin after this. We go here on Fox. An exciting finish. Eddie Murray, a 38-yard field goal. Kevin Butler earlier missed what would have been a big field goal for Arizona. The Cardinals have lost 4 games by 11 points. 20-19 is the final score. Kevin Butler's missed 2 big field goals in successive weeks for the Cardinals. More excitement coming up a little later tonight. Of course, it's the Indians and the Yankees in time for a little psychoanalysis, Stephen. We're not talking any football here. It's baseball only. Let's get right to it. David Wells, what a game he pitched in Game 3. I know George Steinbrenner's probably real happy he didn't kick David's rear end in the Yankee.
Oh, right about now he is. Or, you know, maybe he did on the side. You know, David Wells, they played so many mind games in New York. They did this to David Wells. They weren't sure if he was going to get the start. Then they finally named him as the Game 3 starter. That gave David Wells no excuse. He said, you want the start? Here's your start. Now go out and do the job. He threw 9 innings. He saved the bullpen. Why is that so big? Because today's starter, Gooden, is a 5-and-dive guy, which basically means he's going to go 5 and he's out of there. Now you've got your bullpen to come in and shut things down. And I just wonder if Steinbrenner after that game came in and said, hey, attaboy, you did it for us.
Yeah, you've been wanting to hit me all year long, haven't you? Speaking of Dwight Gooden making the start tonight, it's been a long time for Dwight Gooden since he's pitched in the postseason. Doc, one of the great pitchers in baseball history in the 80s. Father Time starting to catch up with him, but a big moment for him tonight.
Well, let's stick with the same mind game scenario. Same deal with him. Last year he throws a no-hitter for that ball club. Then they leave him off of the playoff roster. Now this year they say, we're not sure if you're going to be the Game 3 guy. Then Cone goes down. Now all of a sudden he's starting Game 4. Here's a guy who's 5-0 against Cleveland, but he has not had a good postseason record. But I'll tell you what, the Cleveland Indians have not figured out that, as Tim and Bob had told you guys, this guy is not a power pitcher anymore. He relies much more on his breaking ball, throws a few more changeups, throws a fastball occasionally to run it up in the zone, make sure that everyone knows that he has it. But if Cleveland does not adjust to this guy, he's going to be 6-0 against the Cleveland Indians.
Kind of sounds like the scouting report for Orel Hershiser, tonight's starter for the Indians. 8-1 lifetime in the postseason before this series start. He got clobbered in Game 1 of this series. Is Orel Hershiser going to come back tonight?
Well, you sit in that chair and you always call me old. This guy's old. Guy's 39 years old. He doesn't bounce back like he used to. If he has the great sinking fastball, he's going to be fine. I mean, they call him the Bulldog. I know he looks like an accountant, but as soon as he gets on the mound, that's where he's done his damage. Still 8-1 career postseason, but Father Time catches up with everybody. I understand that he has been in a lot of arm therapy since his last start. Not bouncing back like he used to. The sinker doesn't sink. He loses.
Funny, maybe a road game for New York, but the way they play at the Jake, this is almost like a home game. They can't lose a game at Jacobs Field, can the Yankees?
Yeah, 16-5 since the Jake opened up, 9-0 in their last 2 years in postseason. You know, you got to like the Yankees tonight.
Well, if they win it, they're going to take on Baltimore in the ALCS, but still some work to do. Game 4 is coming up. We'll take a break, come back, and have more, and get ready for the thriller at Jacobs Field in Cleveland. Yes, it's a beautiful night for baseball, and we'll have it for you here on Fox in just a few minutes. All right, it's been a great day of NFL action here on Fox, but now it's time for baseball. Let's head out to Jacobs Field, where the Yankees lead the series 2-1. Game 4 of the AL Divisional Series. Here's Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, and Bob Brenly.
All right, Chip, thank you very much. It is a beautiful night here in Cleveland, Ohio. Great night for Game 4 of this 1997 divisional series between the New York Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. Yankees leading this series 2-1, and tonight these Indians fans file in here hoping for a win tonight to force Game 5 here tomorrow night. And welcome to the broadcast booth. Joe Buck along with Tim McCarver and Bob Brenly. And Bob, as we look to tonight's game and try to set up tonight's game, let's look back at last night's game and look at one big swing by Paul O'Neill, that grand slam, something he's been doing for Joe Torre since Joe Torre got back to New York.
Well, the Yankees had 2 outs in the 4th inning, a full count on Paul O'Neill. They were trailing, or they were winning by a run, rather. Good at bat, fouled off some tough pitches, blasted a changeup to dead center field here at Jacobs Field. Paul O'Neill has absolutely been on fire throughout the postseason. You see the .909 slugging percentage. Going even deeper into those numbers, throughout the regular season, Paul O'Neill batted .432 with runners in scoring position. 14 times during the regular season, he drove in a run that either tied the game or gave the Yankees a lead after the 7th inning. The guy's a professional hitter.
We thought it is important to look at what O'Neill did last night against the Cleveland bullpen. That grand slam was against the bullpen. His first home run was against the bullpen in Game 1. And Tim McCarver, that Cleveland bullpen has not been too sharp in this postseason, while the Yankees has been nearly flawless.
You're right on both counts. As a matter of fact, the New York Yankees have 6 home runs in the 3 games thus far, 5 against the Cleveland bullpen. And a comparison tells that there is no comparison. The home runs hit by the Yankees against the bullpen 5, while the Yankees have not allowed a run to the Cleveland Indians. I think with Doc Gooden tonight, if he's not getting his curveball over early in the ball game, Joe Torre will go to his bullpen sooner rather than later.
Believe it or not, this is a rematch of Game 1 of the 1988 NLCS. Pitching-wise, Doc Gooden was on the mound for New York, but not the Yankees. It was the Mets. And it was Orel Hershiser on the mound for the Dodgers tonight, trying to win for the Indians to force Game 5 tomorrow night. There's one spot remaining. That one spot left in this upcoming ALCS. Who will grab it? Baseball comes your way after this from your local Fox station. The 39-year-old right-handed pitcher, Orel Hershiser, preparing for what is his biggest start of this season and one of the biggest in his career. As his career reaches its twilight, he, the Cleveland Indians, and their fans do not want 1997 to end here tonight. A look at the New York lineup. They'll lead it off with Tim Raines in left field, with Derek Jeter batting second at short. Paul O'Neill hit the grand slam here last night. 2 out of 4 in the game and drove home 5. Bernie Williams cleaning up. Then it's Tino Martinez at first. Cecil Fielder, another start. He's the DH. Charlie Hayes at third. Joe Girardi is catching. Batting ninth at second base, it's Ray Sanchez. And as we look at the Cleveland defense, they take the field. Viv Roberts, he has been terrific defensively in this series, not known for his glove work. He's back at second base tonight. This crowd is absolutely charged up as they prepare to watch right-hander Orel Hershiser take on these New York Yankees.
Of course, Hershiser left Game 1 with a 6-3 lead. The bullpen ultimately gave up that lead. Hershiser's numbers on the regular season say this guy will go into his bag of tricks. He will show a team one style of pitching in one game, come back the next game and try something completely different. He has the kind of arsenal that allows him to do that. I think the difference in Dwight Gooden and Orel Hershiser is that while Orel Hershiser needs to control the lower part of the strike zone, he can throw sinkers that look like strikes but aren't. He will come up later in the game. That's because the legs get tired. That is not unusual for a sinker ball pitcher. And he has a variety of stuff with a good curveball slider. But when he gets ahead, he tries to get you out on balls. It's just the opposite with Doc Gooden, who has to throw strikes early in the count, for the most part, get you out on strikes.
Yes, I thought it was interesting in talking to Joe Torre about Orel Hershiser, and Doc Gooden slips into that rotation in place of the injured David Cohn. Joe Torre talking about how odd it was to face the Indians the final 3 games of the regular season, then turn right around and take them on in the division series. And he said Orel Hershiser pitched against us in one of those games and was one way. And now here tonight, even opposed to Game 1 of this series, he might be the complete opposite as he takes on these New York Yankees, you look at head-to-head, 6 career matchups between Gooden and Hershiser. The numbers, the ERA, the thing to concentrate on. And the wins for Hershiser, 3-1 in his career head-to-head meetings with Doc Gooden.
And 8-1 in postseason. He was not the loser in game 1. It was a no decision.
Tim Raines, first up. They like strike one. This broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Glad you're with us here on Fox. Game 4. Indians trying to force Game 5 tomorrow night. Raines first up. Raines first out.
You never know what's going to happen. But not since the 1988 postseason have I seen that look on Orel Hershiser. Of course, he's 39 years old. He does not throw as hard as he used to, but he has got that look tonight.
Having the competitive fire and the knowledge to know what to do doesn't do you a lot of good if you physically can't do it.
That's right. But this guy can get locked in with the best of them.
Derek Jeter, strike one. Jeter 4 out of 12 with a couple of home runs in this division series. A ball and a strike. Greg Kosk is the home plate umpire with Dave Phillips, the crew chief, at first. Rocky Rowe, Dale Ford, Tim McClellan, and Ken Kaiser joining him as the men in blue. To third, fair toward the corner. Extra bases for Derek Jeter. Digging it out is Giles, and it's a one-out double for Jeter and the Yankees.
Well, we talked about how hot Paul O'Neill has been in this postseason. Derek Jeter really stinging the ball as well. Jeter has an amazing ability to alter his swing after he starts it. Once again, much like the home run in Game 1, he pulls his hands in close to his body to make sure and get the head of the bat on the ball. Gets it by the diving Matt Williams at third base.
So Jeter in scoring position with one out in the first, and the batter Paul O'Neill. Two home runs in this series, 4 out of 11. Little heat from Orel Hershiser, pushing 90 miles an hour. Strike one.
Well, he's challenging Paul O'Neill with the first pitch. This is very important not only for Orel Hershiser but for Dwight Gooden as well to get ahead of hitters tonight. Charles Nagy last night, very tentative, work around the edges of the zone, walked 6 batters. Hershiser has to be more aggressive in the strike zone tonight.
One ball, one strike on Paul O'Neill, who was the American League's best at the plate with runners in scoring position, hitting over .420, and he has Jeter at second, one out here in the first.
This is a situation where O'Neill likes to go the other way, particularly if Hershiser stays outside on it.
The other way, fair down the line toward the corner. Jeter in to score. Back-to-back doubles, and the Yankees take a first-inning lead.
He led the major leagues in hits to left field with 66. Nobody does it better than Paul O'Neill. Breaking ball outside part of the plate, and he peppers that left field line. The impressive thing about this is that a lot of times when a guy hits a home run, for the next 2 or 3 games, he'll try to pull the ball. He gets caught up with trying to hit more home runs. And to show you how professional, as you said, Bob, that guy is at the plate, first time up the next night, he goes the other way to drive in the first run.
Yankees on the board here in the first inning, and now Bernie Williams with O'Neill at second. Makes low for ball one. Only one hit so far in this series for Bernie Williams. 1-1.
Hershiser has to go into damage control mode right now. Just try to get out of this inning and limit the damage. Bernie Williams has been struggling throughout the series. Hershiser would like to continue that trend. A lot of movement on that sinker from Oral Hershiser. Starts the pitch inside off the corner, tails back over the inside part of the plate. Bernie Williams giving a little bit in the batter's box.
A ball and 2 strikes on Bernie Williams. 2-2.
3 fastballs tight to Williams. That's where the Indians try to pitch Bernie, especially from the left side. He handles the ball inside a little better as a right-handed batter, but he is vulnerable inside from the left side. And you can see Hershiser perspiring freely out there on the mound. A very unusually muggy night for October here in Cleveland.
Runner at second, 1 out, 2-2 pitch, full count. Nicely handled by Sandy Alomar.
Alomar in great position to block this breaking ball that goes down and into Bernie Williams. You'll see he shifts his whole body, keeps his shoulders square to the field. Ball drops harmlessly in front.
From 1-2 to 3-2. Easy for Tomey. The out. 2 gone. Over to third, O'Neill.
And you get a pretty good idea about where Oral Hershiser is going to pitch Bernie Williams. 5 of the 6 pitches were inside because Bernie's vulnerable in there. The 1-0 pitch. The 1-1 pitch inside. Now he misses inside, misses with the slider, and jams him with the fastball. The thing about Hershiser is there's no guarantee that he will do that again next time. He's always making adjustments and counter adjustments depending on what the hitter does at the plate. He was able to jam Bernie Williams that time. Perhaps next time he'll go away with off-speed stuff.
Runner at third, 2 out here in the first inning. Yankees have a lead. And now Tino Martinez with O'Neill at third. Strike 1.
Tino Martinez, a middle zone high ball hitter with the exception of the fastball up and in or low and away. That's a big hot zone, though. He can cover a lot of the plate. That was some nasty late movement by Hershiser. Watch Martinez jump back from the fastball.
Greg Koss flinched, but did not ring up Tino Martinez.
That's an umpire's balk right there. He was very close to calling that a strike. It's just a little up out of the strike zone. Watch Greg Koss's head. Just Tino.
The 1-2 to Martinez. Drills him on the leg, and down to first is Tino Martinez. Now they're going to appeal to see if Martinez swung at the pitch. He did not. Therefore, hit by pitch, and it's first and third, 2 out.
Had he swung at the pitch and the pitch hit him, Martinez would have been out with a count 1 ball and 2 strikes. But he does not go around. The ball hits him on his left thigh, and he's awarded first base. And he's hit because Hershiser had been pounding him with that sinker inside off the plate, tailing it back over the inside corner. Tino was protecting against that pitch. Hershiser throws a breaking ball inside. Tino walked right into it. That's a very good point, Bob, because what he was doing, he was opening up for that fastball inside. Had he not opened up, he probably gets out of the way of the curve.
Again, it's first and third, 2 out for Cecil Fielder. 2 doubles, a hit batsman in the inning, 1 run for the Yankees, and Alomar wants to talk it over. Talked about that start that Orel Hershiser made against the Yankees. It was on September 25th, a Thursday, game in which Cecil Fielder hit a home run against Orel Hershiser, and that's what prompted Joe Torre to say, well, that's one thing. But now here we are in Game 4 of this division series, and Hershiser may pitch Fielder in a completely different fashion.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about Fielder, a dead low ball hitter, and Hershiser, to be effective, has to stay down.
Missing high for ball 1.
Well, Joe, you're probably too young to remember the cartoon Felix the Cat, but whenever Felix would get in a fix, he'd reach into his bag of tricks.
What am I, 8? I remember that. First and third, 2 out. Into center field. A base hit. Into score is O'Neill, and it's a 2-run first inning for the Yankees.
On a low fastball, the Fielder. He gobbles up low fastball pitchers. Hershiser missing with that first high fastball. Look at this one. Right in that happy zone. And that's why Joe Torre has Fielder in there against the sinker balling Hershiser. Figured this was a much better matchup. Gives Cecil the best possible chance to succeed.
Now it's a 2-run first inning for the Yankees, and they look for a huge first inning with 2 on, 2 out. And Charlie Hayes at the plate. Charlie just 1 out of 7 with a run driven in this series on a sac fly in Game 2. Third start in a row for Charlie Hayes. 0-2.
I know the Yankees have scored 2 runs. They have hit 3 balls hard, but Hershiser is a different-looking pitcher tonight compared to Game 1. That is some nasty stuff he has out there, and you got to credit the Yankees thus far. They've hit him, and I mean hard.
Little floater to left. They'll bring home Martinez. The throw from Giles. In time and out at the plate to end the top of the first inning. Ryan Giles guns down Tino Martinez. The Yankees get 2, and after a half inning, Indians coming to bat in a 2-run hole.
Talk about how outfielders should field the ball with 2 hands. When you're fielding a ground ball, you don't field it with 2 hands. You shovel the ball to the right, to the throwing hand, as Giles did, a fine 1-hopper to Alomar, and he makes the glove tag. Catchers don't like to do that, but he was forced to do it then. Bang, bang.
And you saw Matt Williams right there decoying as if he were going to cut the ball off to hold the runner at second base in the event Martinez could beat the throw to home plate. Sandy Alomar throughout his career has not had a reputation as a catcher that likes to block home plate, but he hung in there very well on that one.
Give you a look at the Indians starting lineup. They will lead it off with Bib Roberts, then Omar Vizquel batting second and short. Manny Ramirez in right. Jim Thome back in there. He's cleaning up. David Justice is the DH. You look at his numbers so far. Matt Williams at third. Sandy Alomar catching. Brian Giles in left, and Marquise Grissom batting ninth in center. Doc Gooden, the right-hander, on the mound during the regular season, won 9 games. Last year won 11, and he gets the start here in Game 4.
And we talked about Doc Gooden earlier. No longer just a power fastball pitcher. He will throw curveballs. He'll throw sliders. He'll throw changeups. He'll sink his fastball from time to time, much like Orel Hershiser. Reach into that bag of tricks.
Here's Bib Roberts leading off and taking ball 1. Who knows how many runs that throw by Brian Giles saved to end the top of this first inning. And the Indians have to ride that a bit. See if they can get something started here in the bottom half. It's 2-0 on Bib Roberts. He's been a handful in this leadoff spot. 2-1 from Gooden. Over the outside corner, 2-2.
That was Jose Cardinal, who is responsible for outfield positioning of the Yankees, probably thinking that with 2 strikes, Biff Roberts more inclined to go up the middle and the other way, trying to protect the plate.
Again, the 2-2. Full count. Behind home plate, Girardi back to get it, has it playing, makes a nice play. The leadoff man Roberts is gone here in the first inning. As you look at Doc Gooden making his 7th postseason start, keep in mind he's never won a game in the postseason, 0-3.
And Doc Gooden really needs to work down in the strike zone as opposed to earlier in his career. Location on the breaking pitches is very crucial. The slider to go along with the good curve, and an occasional change up to left-handers. He retired Biff Roberts with the good overhand curveball on the outside part of the plate. That gives you an idea of how he's going to work a 3-2 curve to the leadoff batter.
Omar Vizquel now 5 for 11. The top 2 in this Cleveland lineup. Roberts came in 4 out of 12. Vizquel 5 for 11. But then Ramirez hitting in that crucial third spot, only 2 hits. Now 2-0 on Vizquel. Two and one as Dwight Gooden is getting that outside corner from the home plate umpire, Greg Koss.
And you'll see Gooden has a little bit of a tail, a little bit of a sink on that fastball. Not as drastic as Hershiser, but it is not a straight fastball.
Again on the outside corner, 2-2. Full count as it was with Roberts.
He threw a 3-2 curveball to Biff Roberts leading off the ball game. See if he'll do the same thing to Omar Vizquel.
Fastball base hit into left center. Vizquel thinking 2, but thinks better of it. Nice play by Raines, a 1-out single.
Well, Gooden did not go to the curveball on the 3-2 count to Vizquel. Goes with a fastball right down the heart of the plate. Vizquel stays with it, drives it almost into the gap in left center field. Normally, Chad Curtis is considered the better defensive left fielder between Curtis and Raines, but Raines makes a nice play there to hold Vizquel to a single.
Here's Manny Ramirez, only 2 out of 13 with just 1 RBI in this divisional series with the Yankees. He hit 26 home runs during the regular season.
Manny Ramirez loves the ball down and in. That is his long ball territory right there. Not quite that far in. Get the idea. That's his hot zone. You can jam him, but you have to jam him on the hands. He's a perfect candidate for what they call going up the ladder. Try to get ahead of him and then throw each pitch a little bit higher than the one before, especially on the inside part of the plate.
Gooden has fallen behind each of the first 3 hitters. 1 on, 1 out. Big swing, 1-1.
Gives you an idea of how far big league pitchers can miss. You saw the pinky from Girardi. He wanted the fastball outside. He sat outside, and the fastball tails back inside to catch the inside corner. Doc only missed by about 1.5 feet with that fastball. But fortunately for him, he missed into one of those blue zones that we just saw on the scouting report. Right. It should be a pickoff attempt at first base.
Vizquel back easily. Doc Gooden is no longer the type of pitcher who can win and be effective falling behind hitter after hitter.
Well, there's only a handful of guys that can do that anyway.
A young Doc Gooden could, I'll tell you that.
Sir.
98-mile-an-hour fastball. Phenomenal.
Vizquel started and stopped. And now 2-1 on Ramirez. Tomey waits on deck. David Cone, this would be his night if he were healthy. Still bothered by that sore right shoulder and really doesn't know what the rest of this postseason holds. Neither does Joe Torre. Ramirez takes ball 3. You know what Ramirez is thinking with a 3-1 count?
Fastball down and in. That's what he wants.
Little flare to center. Williams is there. Bernie puts it away. 2 out here in the first inning, and back to first Vizquel.
Well, that's what Bob and I were talking about. He's a low ball hitter, but if you lift that ball up about 6 inches, that gets in his kitchen. Even looking for the fastball, you can see belt high on the hands, hits it on the trademark for the out. And you lower that pitch about like that, put it in that low zone, and I'll guarantee you he rifles that ball, but that's a big 6-inch difference.
Now Tomey, who was surprised not to find his name on the lineup card for Game 3. As were some Indian fans, considering he hit 40 home runs during the regular season, but he's back in there tonight.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that Jim Tomey was not in the lineup last night. Granted, David Wells can be a very nasty left-handed pitcher with that big sweeping curveball, but they rode this horse all summer long. You got to get him in there in the postseason.
Slicing right to Raines in left field, and after a 1-out hit by Vizquel, Gooden gets around it. We are through 1 in Cleveland. Game 4, 2-0 New York. We have played 1 inning here in Game 4, and the Yankees trying to fill out that last spot in this year's postseason and looking for a rematch of last year's ALCS. Congratulations to the Baltimore Orioles as they took care of Seattle Mariners earlier today. Mariners only won 1 game, and in a series that I think surprised most. Not that Baltimore won, but getting past Randy Johnson twice.
Got by him because of Mike Mussina, who will probably be the MVP of the division series, even though no official MVP is named for division series. 2 big wins for the Orioles, going head-to-head against Johnson both times.
Ball and a strike on Girardi leading off, strike 2.
Joe Girardi susceptible to breaking balls low and away when he falls behind in the count.
Down and in, and a ground ball to short for Vizquel. Leadoff man is gone in the second. McCarver didn't come out and say who was going to start this game early in this series, but his comment was, if I had enough confidence in Hershiser to start him in Game 1, why wouldn't I have that same confidence for Game 4? So Hershiser back out there. Moral feeling he probably could have stayed in that first game in New York. Did not get through 5 innings, and the bullpen eventually blew a lead. The Yankees came back to win it.
Well, for a pitcher like Hershiser, who depends on working the edges of the zone, getting batters to get themselves out, he has to establish that he can throw strikes early in the ball game to plant that thought in the hitter's mind.
Sanchez up the middle, a 1-out hit. He's now 3 out of 10 in this series. A wide turn, but back to first. Aggressive play by Grissom out in center.
Pull it back up the middle by Ray Sanchez. You see the high leg kick. Another low ball. Drives it right back to the middle of the field. Sanchez always hustling. Rounds first base very aggressively. Puts a lot of pressure on the defense to come up with the ball cleanly.
Grissom did, and Sanchez at first with one out for Tim Raines.
You look at that turn at first base. If you're an outfielder, the guys in the infield right about now are screaming at you, get it in, get it in, get it in. Sometimes that forces you to hurry and make a bobble.
Strike one on Tim Raines, who grounded out to the right side his first time up. Strike two. Derek Jeter, who started that two-run first inning rally with a double, waits on deck. Almost took off on Alomar, 1-2.
Looking down, he got it up and away.
The resume for Raines, his first postseason home run was a game-tying blast in Game 1. Now 2-2.
So the 795 career steals, only 3 major league players have eclipsed the 800 steal mark for their careers. Ty Cobb, Lou Brock, Ricky Henderson. That'd make a pretty good relay team, wouldn't it? Would it ever? Ooh, man. Throw Raines in there, too.
Here's Tim Raines throwing one off the facade of the third deck in Game 1. Out of the 6th inning, that 5-run 6th inning. That was the first of the back-to-back-to-back. Another check on Sanchez. And career against Hershiser. A lot of that while these two are over in the other league. From 0-2 to 3-2.
Look for Sanchez to be running here. That's an easy call with Derek Jeter on deck. With one out, what you ideally want, first and third. That's the end result more often than not when you send the runner.
There he goes, and the ground ball to first. The only play for Thome is to step on, 2 out. And down to second is Sanchez.
Derek Jeter, you see his outfield hits by direction. Early in the count, he's more of a pull hitter. Once he gets to 2 strikes, he will use the whole field. And we saw him his first at bat alter his swing, pull his hands in close to his body, and snap hook one down the third baseline.
So Chambliss is hitting coach. Jeter looking for the 2-out hit into left field. He found the 2-out hit. Another chance for Giles, and they won't even test it. Even with the wide throw, and it's first and third, 2 out.
I think 2 reasons Willie Randolph held up Ray Sanchez. Number 1, the ball was hit hard, and number 2, Tino Martinez was thrown out at home in the first inning. This throw is errant. It is off the mark. However, Matt Williams would have had a chance to cut it off and throw home because the ball was hit so hard. You can add a third reason, too. Paul O'Neill, the hottest hitter on either team, is now the batter.
Giles does not have a great throwing arm in left field, but you'll see he gets himself in good position, charges the ball hard, and makes up for that lack of a good throwing arm by getting rid of it quickly.
Willie Randolph, the third base coach. That seed was planted back in the first inning when Giles gunned down Martinez at the plate. To end the top of the first, now first and third, 2 out, and O'Neill takes down an in-ball 1. Two hits in the inning for the Yankees and already 6 in an inning and 2/3 against Hershiser. On O'Neill.
Joe Torre, a pretty good judge on character. As you see the base runners at the corners, he said that Paul O'Neill is one of the few hitters in baseball who can look for the breaking ball and still hit the fastball. You look for that local, still hit the express. That's saying something.
2-1 on O'Neill. It's tough to talk to Joe Torre about Paul O'Neill, and you can see why. I was going to say is a smile just creeps across the face of Joe Torre when O'Neill's name is mentioned, and why not, with the Yankees compared to his years with Cincinnati. And this is a year, to be even more specific, his first time over 100 RBIs. And up on the count here, 3-1.
Well, managers love to have those guys that you're guaranteed what you're going to get from Paul O'Neill every season. Batting average in the 3-in-teens, 315, 317. He's going to hit you 20 home runs. Going to drive in 90 or more runs. And could be more of a home run hitter, especially at Yankee Stadium if he started to pull the ball more. But he's had such great success using the whole field wide change.
Down the left field line, slicing toward the seats, foul. And a full count. Their best, the league's best, with runners in scoring position, gets another chance. He's already delivered with an RBI double back in the first. Jeff Juden, the right-hander, getting ready for Cleveland in their bullpen. Runner goes, and we'll do it again.
That is infuriating to a pitcher and to a catcher when you make a pitch like that and have a hitter foul it off. You want him to put that ball in play, but the good hitters foul those pitches off like that. The bad ones put it in play. And last night O'Neill fouled off a couple of tough change-ups from Chad O.J. before hitting the home run to dead center field with the bases loaded.
First and third, 2 out. 3 balls, 2 strikes on O'Neill.
Another one.
He did it again.
Out of the same chapter. Emergency swing. Too close to take, but I can't hit it hard. I'll just waste this one. Wait for the next one.
With every 3-2 pitch, Jeter is running from first. Hershiser trying to keep this a 2-run game. Into center for Grissom. Back to get it to end the inning. The Yankees get 2 hits. Held a runner at third for O'Neill. He flies out to end the top of the second. 2-0 New York.
1997 American League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft, to remind you it's time for better beer breath. By the 1998 Honda Accord, an Accord like no other. By IBM, solutions for a small planet. And by Starter, the authentic jacket for all 28 Major League Baseball teams.
Shot of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here in Cleveland. Tonight's overhead shots are courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes, based in Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls, Captain Dick Ash from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Glad they're with us. Glad you're with us. Bottom of the second, 2-0 New York. Justice, Williams, and Alomar coming up. David Justice, who in one season became as loved an Indian as this franchise has here in this great baseball city. Justice didn't like the call 1-1.
Yeah, so much for making an adjustment to a new league and new pitchers. The 329 average, 33 bombs, 101 RBIs. Took him about 2 days to adjust the American League.
2-1.
Both he and Matt Williams adjusted, did David Justice and Matt. There have been 7 players that have gone from the National League to the American League and in the first year hit 30 or more home runs. Justice and Williams did it this year for the Indians.
Justice went.
Did he?
And instead of 3-1, it's 2-2. Well, according to Tim McClellan, he did.
Yeah, okay. And check it out. His opinion's the only one that really matters. True. It does appear that the bat head gets out in front of home plate.
Now the 2-2. Smoked into right. It's a 1-run game.
Like an inside heater. Joe Girardi, the catcher, watches it go. And did it go? Whew.
Now Gooden falls behind Williams. He's fallen behind every hitter he has faced. We're only in the second. But it's a bad formula if Doc Gooden wants any success here tonight. That's well hit the center. Williams with a double.
Sign for Mike Hargrove. Matt Williams going with the pitch, not trying to pull the ball to left field. Hits it to the deepest part of Jacobs Field. About a quarter of the way up the wall out there. Williams plays it on a hop off the fence. Matt Williams on at second with a double. Last week, Phil Garner, who is the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, did a column for USA Today. And in talking about Matt Williams, he said if Matt hits the ball up the middle, the first and/or second time in a sequence of at bats through the night, watch out.
He's the tying run at second with nobody out, and here's Sandy Alomar.
Take that thinking a little further. When guys are hitting the ball up the middle, they are prepared to hit the ball anywhere. They can pull it, they can hit it the other way because the shoulder is in the proper position to hit.
Behind in the count again, it's 2-0 on Alomar. Tying run at second, Matt Williams, nobody out here in the second. Ball 3.
Completely different approach by the Indians offense tonight against David Wells last night, who was around the plate a lot. They swung at a lot of first pitches. Tonight, Doc Gooden struggling with his control a little bit. They're being more patient, working the count in their favor. Remember what we said in the opening. Joe Torre would sooner rather than later go to the bullpen. Alomar with a call to probably Ramiro Mendoza, but not necessarily. He was the winner in game 1.
It is Mendoza, runner at second, 3-1. Now a full count on Alomar. Gooden has really reached back in this inning and is consistently above 90, but a 94-mile-per-hour pitch. Hammered into the seats in right by Justice. Again, 94 miles per hour. Off the wall in center, off the bat of Williams.
If you've been keeping an eye on the Fox box up there in the left-hand corner of your screen, Doc Gooden topped out at 91-92 in the first inning, throwing harder this inning, but losing some movement on that fastball.
Tying run at second, nobody out, 3-2 to Alomar. We'll do it again. This has been a breakthrough season, to say the least, for Sandy Alomar Jr. First 7+ seasons in the big leagues. Hit an average of 270, 324 this season. 21 home runs, 3 times as many as his average in his first 7 seasons. Here, at the least, he's trying to advance Williams over to third. Still 3-2. Will he get the ball again in this division series? Andy Pettit. Tying run at second, nobody out. Peter circles it. One away, and Alomar did not advance the runner. Doc Gooden has had a tough time challenging some of these Indian hitters. That's a no-no, according to his manager, Joe Torre.
And, you know, we had visited with Doc several times, not during the postseason, but earlier when Mel and I both wanted him to change the way he approached pitching. And since that time, he's been a lot better. And he just needs to go after people, trust his stuff, throw strikes. I think every manager feels that way about it. You know, pitchers that sometimes they give the hitter too much credit.
A leadoff home run by Justice here in the second, followed by the double by Williams. Ground out by Alomar, and now Giles takes a strike.
I think that's what Doc has to do. I don't think he's using his curveball enough in this ball game. His curveball right now is his best pitch. He's always had a good curveball, and now he depends on his curveball.
1-1 on Giles.
You saw a common mistake there that a lot of major league pitchers do. He threw a great curveball for strike 1 to Giles and then tried to throw a better one on the next pitch. Left it up high.
Little high again, 2-1. Get the feeling this is going to be a struggle for each side tonight. Hershiser's already allowed 6 hits, and Gooden has had a long second inning. A high strike, 2-2.
Another breaking ball. I don't know whether that was a curveball or a slider. Mike Hargrove disagreeing with home plate umpire Greg Koss. Yeah, that was another curveball. As you said, Bob, the best curveball he threw was the first one, and he has really missed with the other 2, even though he got the call then.
Tying run at second, 1 out. There's a breaking ball, and Gooden doesn't get the call. 3-2, and he wonders where was that pitch.
So does Joe Torre.
Now this looks like a better one than the pitch before. Man, that's a hammer right there.
Giles lives to see another pitch. Strikes out. on that breaking ball, down and in. First strikeout for Gooden.
Well, when they're hitting the fastball, go to the curveball. Curveball for a strike. Curveball for a ball. Curveball. Curveball 2 and 2. Curveball 3 and 2. 6 straight curveballs to Brian Giles. Finally gets it.
I guess the book on Brian Giles is throwing breaking balls, huh?
I think more than Giles, though, then, Bob, I think it was just Joe Girardi saying, hey, wait a minute. We got to throw more breaking balls, and we're going to try to get the fastball better by throwing the breaking ball.
Grissom chops it off the plate. Strike one.
Another curveball.
That's what that does. The curveball being a slower pitch, it makes the I know this sounds simplistic, but it makes the fastball appear to be faster. That's really the formula of being able to get the breaking ball over. Not only help your breaking ball get guys out, but it also helps your fastball.
Tying run still at second, 2 out now, 1-1 on Grissom. Hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position this season. Over the inside corner. Strike 2.
Well, Oral Hershiser talking to his pitching coach Mark Wiley, trying to figure out how to find that strike zone consistently and get ahead of the Yankee hitters.
Gooden trying to finish off Grissom with a count of 1-2. Grissom trying to tie it with a hit. This postseason, throughout his career, has been terrific. He hit over 400 against the Yankees in the World Series last year, along with Atlanta. 2-2 from Gooden. Now a full count, and again Gooden with that look in at the home plate umpire, Greg Koss.
Fastball a little bit below the belt. Doesn't get the call. Matt Williams is not a fast base runner at second base, but he's a very good, very smart base runner. He's getting a great jump out there. In the event Grissom can get a base hit, he probably will score.
Gooden has really had to work through the second inning, and every time we get a shot of Oral Hershiser, it looks like he's thrown about 7 innings already. It is, as you said earlier, a very humid night here in Cleveland.
No problem staying loose tonight, that's for sure.
This will be the 27th pitch of the inning coming up for Gooden. Trying to protect what is now a 1-run lead. That'll put Grissom aboard, and with 2 on, 2 out, bring up Bit Roberts.
After showing Grissom those curveballs early in the count, goes to 3-2 and runs a fastball right up under his chin. That's when you don't want to be leaning out there looking breaking ball. You may be able to think outside, but don't lean out there.
There's the effort here in the second inning for Gooden, and he is not out of trouble. Tying run is at second, go-ahead run at first with 2 out for Roberts.
So that's 46 pitches through 1 2/3, and Joe Torre telling us before the game around 100 would be the gauge if he's successful tonight.
Mendoza ready if needed for the Yankees in their bullpen. Ronald Sanchez. And for all that, the Indians get only one. On that swing of the bat by David Justice. He goes deep to right and cuts the Yankee lead in half. Back for inning number 3 after this from your local Fox station. Back for another inning is Orel Hershiser. We have played 2, and the Yankees out in front by 1. They send in the 4, 5, and 6 hitters. Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, Cecil Fielder. Down and in from Hershiser, ball 1.
5 of the first 6 pitches, Bernie's first time up, were inside. Hershiser right back in there.
Bernie ended up grounding out to the right side. Yankees in the first inning, 2 runs on 4 hits plus a hit batsman. But lost a man at the plate to end the inning. 1-1 on Williams. Tino Martinez next. Bernie Williams now 1 for 10 in this series. Wouldn't change, 2-1.
What you were talking about, Bob, he showed him the fastball inside, and then he went away with the change, away with the side door breaking ball. So he is pitching Bernie Williams differently this time up. Now back in there.
And a one-hopper to Tomey. Williams is gone to start the 3rd. Well, if the Cleveland Indians win here tonight, it will be necessary tomorrow. It comes down to 1 game of the American League Division Series as the Yankees and Indians battle tomorrow night. Don't miss pivotal game 5, if necessary, at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on Fox. And a reminder, the American League Championship Series between the Yankees and the Orioles will start on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on Fox in Baltimore. They're not getting that pitch called a strike, and it's 1-1.
Don't know why. Looks like that was right down Main Street. Alomar sitting up a little bit on the inside part of the plate, catches the ball right in front of his body, below the mask.
And a 1-1 count. A change-up and popped up on the infield for Vizquel. 2 gone. Orel Hershiser settling down here in the 3rd inning. I don't think he ever had to settle down back in 1988. World Series Game 5, getting Tony Phillips, ending the game. The Dodgers beat the A's 4-1. The only pitcher in history to throw a shutout in World Series and NLCS play in the same season. Cecil Fielder with 2 out, nobody on. Remember that year, Bob Brenly? Excuse me, Timmy. You remember that year, Bob Brenly, playing in San Francisco with Hershiser and what he did for the Dodgers. 59 straight scoreless innings.
5 consecutive shutouts in the middle of that streak. Just about as dominating as I have ever seen a major league pitcher. Everybody talks about Gibson's year. Bob Gibson in 1968. Phenomenal year. Steve Carlton in 1972. Sandy Koufax for 6 straight years from 61 to 66. Hershiser's year in 88 has to go right up in there. MVP of the LCS, MVP of the World Series, and a save in the National League Championship Series. Goes this breaking ball about a foot off the outside corner, gets Cecil Fielder to chase a very, very bad pitch. That's what we were talking about earlier in the game. If Hershiser's in the strike zone, he can get batters to chase pitches out of the strike zone.
Like that, the ground ball to first. Tomey picks it up, and his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Hershiser trying to settle down. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Indians to the plate, down by 1. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Dwight Gooden back to work. Vizquel, Ramirez, and Tomey are walking to the plate in this inning for Cleveland. Indians down by a run. Vizquel singled in the first inning, but was stranded when Ramirez and Tomey each flied out. 6 out of 12 in this series. 2-0.
Notice the Indians, and Joe Torre certainly noticed that, to elaborate on a point we made earlier, they're running a lot of deep counts against Doc Gooden.
As opposed to last night against David Wells. 2-2.
Doc Gooden's having a little trouble seeing the signs from Joe Girardi. You may have noticed when he puts down that pinky finger, he's got tape on his pinky finger, but the other fingers do not have tape, and a lot of times those shadows up in the crotch area there, it's tough to see the signs.
3-2.
That is the 6th full count. And Vizquel is the 11th Indians hitter, and Justice hit a 2-2 fastball for a home run.
A leadoff walk. Indians put their leadoff man on. A Miller Lite game break. Back to Chip Carey in Hollywood.
Okay, guys, one participant in the ALCS is set. The Orioles go back for the 2nd year in a row. Here's the final out. Randy Myers nails it down for Baltimore. They beat the Mariners 3-1. They beat Randy Johnson twice in the ALCS. As you see, starts Wednesday here on Fox.
Thank you, Chip. Bordick making that final play. And while we talk about Vizquel, the Indian shortstop being such a big player in this series already for Cleveland. Mike Bordick, one of the stars for the Baltimore Orioles in their series win over Seattle. There's Ramirez. And again, Gooden falls behind. Leading by a run. 1-1 on Ramirez. How about the outfield hits by direction for Manny Ramirez?
He will keep you honest. Force the defense to play him straight up.
Balls and a strike.
Now, the pitch before that curveball from Doc Gooden was a fastball down, but a little bit out over the plate. If that pitch had been inside a little bit more, that would have been in Ramirez's happy zone, but because it was out over the plate and down, he wasn't able to get to it. Another pick off to first.
I'm starting to pick this up now. I'm thinking right along 5-1, throw to first.
That's it. You know, different teams use different signs. The standard sign used to be you just kind of stuck your thumb out and flipped it over towards first base, but a lot of the alert base coaches actually could see the muscles move in the catcher's forearm, and they could read that pickoff throw to first base and relay it to the runner.
Vizquel starts and stops as Ramirez flies to center. Ramirez the first out here in the 3rd inning, and now 2 out of 15 in this series. Tying run at first, 1 out. Here's Tomey. Gooden trying to get around a leadoff walk. He handed it to Vizquel. Strength to Tomey, and we give you our scouting report on Jim Tomey.
Loves to hit with a man on first base where the first baseman has to hold the runner. Lightning quick, I'll say. Likes the high fastball primarily. And if you go up the ladder on him, you are taking a chance. It better be with good fastball.
You better go 2 rungs at a time.
That's right.
Now, Tommy really has a power hitter swing. He's got the uppercut. He opens up that front side, really trying to lift the ball in the air.
Joe Torre is amazed at how Tommy is such an aggressive hitter, and yet he's very patient. He led the American League in walks with 100.
Vizquel running, and no throw by Girardi. The second stolen base in this series for Omar Vizquel.
A lot of people may say with Vizquel running, you take away the hole. My reaction to that is, so what? You've got David Justice on deck. They end up walking Tommy. You've got a guy who's already homered off good. Vizquel stealing second without a play.
Tying run at second, 1 out. 0-2 to Tommy. 2 out and a big strikeout for Gooden, his second of the night.
Time for a visit from Uncle Charlie. Another curve and another curve. Uncle Charlie gets around, doesn't he, Bob?
That's a tough pitch to hit right there with a guy with an uppercut swing. Ball's moving down, the bat's moving up.
There's Justice, who homered his first time, the only Cleveland run. There's the tying run. Vizquel out at second, talking it over from a distance with Derek Jeter. Ball 1 to Justice. Back in the second, leading off. No doubt about this.
That was a fastball, and for those of you unfamiliar with baseball terms, Uncle Charlie is the curve, by the way.
One ball, no strikes on Justice, now 2-0. Used to call that curveball Sir Charles in his younger days with the Mets. He was so good. Forget Uncle.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go right to Sir.
Right to royalty. It was a regal curveball indeed.
Gooden behind on the count. Mason Justice, it's 2-0. 2-1 Yankees here in the third. Wow. Justice unloaded, 2-2.
Woo! Yeah, another great curveball from Doc Gooden. This one is down low in the strike zone. The one he throws for strikes, he usually starts up high, breaks it down over the heart of the plate. You see the rotation on that ball, spinning over the top, and Dave Justice swinging over the top.
It's only 2-1. I said 2-2, but that cut probably worth 2. Tying run at second, 2 out, 2 balls and a strike on Justice. Inside corner now, 2-2.
Another curveball. Justice sitting on the 2-2 fastball the last time up, and now he doesn't know which way Girardi and Gooden are going to go.
Tying run at second, 2 out.
And they're not quite sure which way they're going to go, and Girardi's going to go out to the mound and make sure they're on the same page here. Runner at second base, I'm sure there's a little problem with the sequence of signs, and Doc Gooden shaking off, and when you have to go through the signs a second time, you're always uncertain as to whether the guy's got the right sign or not. So Joe Girardi goes out and makes sure.
Girardi trying to help Gooden get through 3 here tonight. Tying run at second, 2 out, and now a full count on Justice.
You may remember the scouting report on Doc Gooden at the beginning of the ball game. He said he likes to throw change-ups to left-handers. We haven't seen him break it out yet, and probably won't in this situation, but it would be a great pitch if he had enough confidence in it.
Breaking ball, and he got him. Now the Indians 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. We've played 3. Yankees hanging on. They lead by 1. Principal owner of the New York Yankees, George Steinbrenner, dipped into that postseason turtleneck collection. Getting ready for Game 4 of this division series, which has been a good one, with the Cleveland Indians.
Well, one of those people in that picture was happy to be on TV.
A strike to Charlie Hayes, and we're underway in the 4th inning. Charlie singled his first time. He got the hit that led to put out at the plate when Tino Martinez was gunned down by Brian Giles.
Joe, you made the point at the time, and it was a good point. You don't know how many runs the Yankees would have scored had Giles not made that play. Hershiser may have been gone, and since that time, he's had a chance to right himself, and has pitched very well since that shaky first.
Hershiser was upset with that call. He took a lot off of a slider right there to Charlie Hayes, just kind of floated it up there to the plate and thought he caught that outside corner, but did not get the call.
I think it factored into the scoring not only in the first, but in the 2nd inning as well.
Right.
2-2 now on Hayes in the 2nd inning. Jeter delivers the 2-out hit with Sanchez running. Willie Randolph holds Sanchez at third. The ball hit to Giles. Thought better of sending him home, and O'Neill ended up flying out to center to end the inning. Hayes did not go. And it's a full count.
He looked to me like he went too far. Yep. Certainly appeared that he went too far with that swing. Of course, he jerks it back so fast that it may have appeared to home plate umpire and first base umpire Greg Koska and Dave Phillips that he didn't go around.
Strong wrist right there by Charlie Hayes, stopping that bat as quickly as he did.
Hard hit and through the hole into left field. A leadoff base hit. Charlie Hayes is 2 for 2. So the leadoff man is on for the Yankees here in the 4th inning. Next week, it's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. It all starts with America's most watched pregame show. Then catch an NFC Central Division battle as the Packers clash with the Bears, followed by the Rams and the 49ers, plus other regional action. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Check local listings. Here's Girardi. Bottom 3 in the Yankee lineup here in the 4th.
Yeah, I have to figure that a hit and run is in order somewhere during this sequence of pitches from Hershiser. Joe Torre likes to do it with Joe Girardi as well as with any Yankee. Hershiser, a sinker ball pitcher. He gets a lot of ground balls. Why not put it on?
The Yankees playing it the conservative way as Girardi bunts Hayes down to second. The sacrifice good, 1-4.
Joe Torre opting for the sacrifice in lieu of the hit and run. Breaking ball. Usually you don't throw a breaking ball in a situation like that, so that sacrifice probably surprised Hershiser.
So now Hayes at second with 1 out for either Sanchez or Tim Raine. Yankees lead 2-1 here in the 4th inning. Another bunt. Hershiser has to play the spin, and that's a heck of a play for the 2nd out.
Not only that, Charlie Hayes stays on second base. Joe Torre upset because he bunted him over for Sanchez to drive him in, not bunt him over again. You can see Torre shaking his head. Fine play by Hershiser. You can kind of understand Charlie Hayes. He's as surprised as anybody. You can't really tell on a ball like that whether it's high enough for a pitcher to make a play in the air. Hershiser barehanding the ball and throwing out Sanchez. That's a bad play by Ray Sanchez, in my judgment.
I agree with you, Tim. You waste a batter, you waste Joe Girardi sacrificing the runner to second base for a reason, to set it up for the next two guys in the order.
Yep.
And I agree with you also about Charlie Hayes not having any other choice. He had to freeze at second base when the ball was popped into the air.
So now with a runner at second, Hayes, 2 out. Here's Tim Raines. In the way, Sanchez, by bunting, is going to throw it on the shoulders of Raines either way.
Right.
Strike one on Raines, who's 0 for 2. Tim has grounded out twice, looking for the 2-out RBI hit with Hayes at second. One and two on Raines.
There's Hershiser once again trying to lead a batter out of the strike zone. Throwing that sinker off the outside edge, having it tailed down and away. Trying to get Tim Raines to chase with 2 strikes.
The night so far with runners in scoring position, Yankees 4 out of 7. Although they lost a man at the plate and held a man at third. Inning over. Yankees waste a leadoff hit. Matt Williams will lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. Going there, the Yankees still lead 2-1. Young Jarrett Wright, 21-year-old right-hander who was so good in Game 2. The rough first inning, the 3 runs, 3 walks, settled down, and he ended his night by striking out the side in the 6th inning. Here's Gooden in his night so far as he protects a 1-run lead into the bottom of the 4th inning. Hit, but right at Sanchez. 1 pitch, 1 out. Well, as we go along here tonight, we're in the 4th inning. You wonder how Joe Torre and Mel Stottlemyre will assess the work of Doc Gooden. We asked him about that very question.
I think it's hurt Doc, even though he's been able to overcome some of it, is that he's gotten a little, I don't want to say cautious, but I think he tends not to trust the stuff enough. And the last couple of 2 or 3 outings, he's gone out there and thrown strikes, and it's always evidenced by his pitch count.
A strike to Alomar with 1 out, nobody on.
I think that's understandable for a guy, and we mentioned at the top of the show, Doc Gooden, a tremendous power pitcher early in his career, could rear back, throw his fastball right by most major league hitters. When you lose a little bit off that fastball, it's hard to trust your stuff because you don't have what you consider to be your good stuff anymore.
I think Doc's curveball is much more consistent as far as throwing strikes with it than it was when he was younger. But his fastball obviously is nowhere near what it was in the mid-90s. 24-4 with a 1.53 earned run average in 1985, and obviously the Cy Young Award winner, the youngest ever.
Ground ball to short for Jeter off the bat of Alomar. Sandy is 0 for 2. We remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Joe, I think a low pitch count in this inning, if he can get Brian Giles, would guarantee that Doc comes out in the 5th inning. Remember, the Yankees bullpen has not been scored on in this series.
Pitch number 72 right there.
Joe Torre saying right around 100. So if he has an economical inning here in the 4th, he could pitch the 5th conceivably, be right around 100, and then let the bullpen take over.
No action in that pen right now. That missed the inside corner. And it's 2-0 on Brian Giles.
There's nobody throwing in the bullpen, but that does not mean there's no action.
Yeah, right.
You can bet they are keeping a close eye on every pitch that's thrown in this ball game, trying to monitor the locations, what's being hit.
That's being hit into left. Giles the opposite way, a 2-out knock, and the 4th inning continues for Marquise Grissom.
Take a look at Brian Giles shooting the ball through the hole in the left side of the infield. Not really a shift put on, but Jeter was a couple steps shaded up the middle. Charlie Hayes a few steps further off the line than he normally would be, and Giles found that hole on the left side.
Reason for that smile, it's his first postseason hit. 0 for 5 this year, 0 for 1 last year against the Orioles.
1 on, 2 out, Grissom. Checks on Jeter. Plenty of time to end the inning, and the Indians strand their 5th of the night. We've played 4. Gooden and Hershiser hooking up. 2-1 New York. The look from high above Jacobs Field on a beautiful night in Cleveland, Ohio, providing our shots from above. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. It's 1960 when the Goodyear Blimps first began live sports coverage at the Orange Bowl. Here we are in 1997, Sunday, October 5th. We get into inning number 5 with the Yankees batting and leading 2-1. Derek Jeter first up. He's 2 for 2. Pitch high for ball 1.
Piece of cake for the Goodyear Blimp now, right? It's based in Akron. Not that far down the road.
Same for you, right, Bob? 2-0.
I was born and raised not far from here, down in Coshocton, Ohio, a couple hours south. Grew up, I was a long-suffering Indians fan when I was a youngster.
Torn between whether to root for the Reds or the Indians, right?
Hard hit to short. One shortstop to another, and Vizquel takes care of Jeter. 1 out. Don't forget that Wednesday it's game 1 of the American League Championship Series. The winner of this series takes on the Orioles. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox. That's at Camden Yards in Baltimore. Game 5 of this division series, if necessary, tomorrow night here on Fox between the Yankees and Indians. Up the middle, kick save by Hershiser, 2 gone.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's only appropriate to say, pick it, Wilson. All right. And he does.
Well, Hershiser's always been a very good pitcher at doing all the other things that it takes to be a good pitcher. Field his position, better than average pickoff move, good hitter, good bunter, and good footwork.
Last 4 batters, he made the play on the bunt by Sanchez, and now the good play on the backhand on the ball hit up the middle by O'Neill.
2 out, nobody on for Bernie Williams. That tailing pitch missing inside for ball 1. And Orel Hershiser just will not get that pitch from the home plate umpire. The numbers for Williams not too Williams-like. 1 out of 11 in this series so far. 2 out, nobody on in the 5th. 1-1.
Williams a good middle zone and middle in low ball hitter. You see that zone right there? That's where Hershiser has been trying to go on him all night. Throwing that sinker that starts at the belt buckle, tails back over the inside part of the plate. He was able to exploit it in Bernie Williams' first at bat. Tried to go back in there with the first pitch this at bat. Time for some new ammo there. Paul O'Neill got shattered on that pitch from Orel Hershiser.
Some other big league hitters might want to watch that, the way he's been going. Off the end of the bat into center for Grissom. And Hershiser is second. 1-2-3 inning of the night. Halfway through it, Orel's pumped up. Indians come to bat down by a run. Welcome back to Jacobs Field along with our producer, coordinating producer for Baseball on Fox, John Filippelli, our director, Bill Webb, Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Bob Brenly. What a game. Bottom of the 5th inning. 2-1. The Yankees lead, and Top of the order for Cleveland, Roberts, Vizquel, and Manny Ramirez. Good now trying to get through 5 innings. Breaking ball missing, 2-0.
Tim, you think it's too early in the game to take 2 strikes right here for Bip Roberts?
I do not. Man, with this small strike zone.
There's 1.
Bip Roberts has always been a pretty good hitter with 2 strikes anyway. Protects the plate pretty well. Able to slap the ball, take a defensive swing, put the ball in play.
There's 2.
It's definitely too early to take 3.
Yep. It's always too early to take 3, as Doc Gooden on the first pitch misses with a fastball and then the breaking ball. He runs the count to 3-0 and then comes back with fastball, fastball, fastball to finish off Leon Bip Roberts.
Gooden's done himself a favor by keeping Roberts off base. Came in 4 out of 12 with a couple of walks. He's 0 for 3 tonight. And a curveball for a strike to Vizquel. Hitting .500 in this series. But right at Tino Martinez, 2 down. We remind you to tune into Game 4 of the American League Championship Series for the $1 million Gillette Strike Zone Challenge, where one fan will have the opportunity to throw a strike for $1 million. That's in Game 4 of the upcoming ALCS, which you will find here on Fox. 2 out, nobody on, and the Indians have to start getting production out of Manny Ramirez. 2 out of 15 as he digs in 0 for 2 tonight. To the right side, O'Neill is in to get it. Ramirez 2 out of 16. Gooden a 1-2-3 fifth. They're talking it over. They might run him back out there for the 6th. 2-1 New York. Played 5 innings here in Cleveland with the Yankees leading 2-1, leading 2 games to 1. Joe Buck, Bob Brenly, Tim McCarver. Did you think that these 2 starters, the way they both started, would each get through 5 innings tonight?
Hey, I don't put anything by either one of these guys. You know, they're able to step it up in a big situation. They haven't looked commanding at times tonight, but when they've needed big pitches, they've been able to come up with them.
Yeah, both with shaky starts. The 2 runs in the first inning by the Yankees. The biggest play in this ball game, the play by Brian Giles to nail Tino Martinez to end the first inning.
And just like that, Tino leads it off and grounds to first. Fair ball, 1 pitch, 1 out. In the 6th. Martinez now 0 for 2, was hit by a pitch back in the first inning. That's how he reached when he was gunned down at the plate. Cecil Fielder walks in. An RBI single in the first. He grounded out to first in the 3rd.
Hershiser has been able to get Cecil Fielder to chase sliders that are way out of the strike zone, never in the strike zone. Cecil swung at a couple of them last at bat.
Hershiser has struck out only one. Gooden, on the other hand, has 4 strikeouts tonight through 5 innings. The Yankees have out-hit the Indians 7-4.
Talked about how Fielder was such a low ball hitter. Pitchers try to go up the ladder on him, but Bob mentioned earlier that that's one reason Joe Torre has Fielder in the lineup. To be successful, Hershiser has to stay down with his fastball. I think that last pitch is the best pitch Fielder's going to see in this at-bat.
Had to reach for that, strike 2.
You'll see that one again, I'll guarantee you that. That 1-0 fastball, he challenged him, and then he said, I'm not doing that again. Off the end of the bat.
If you can get Cecil Fielder to take swings like that, you're going to control him. He may get a base hit punch through the right side once in a while, but you're going to keep him in the ballpark.
Laid off 2-2.
And look how far outside that pitch was. Sandy Alomar is sitting behind the left-handed batter's box, and Fielder had to check his swing. He was ready to attack this ball. Once again, never in the strike zone. It starts out outside and goes further away.
Full count.
Got to get another breaking ball here, doesn't he? I would think so. In a one-run ball game, first and foremost, you stay away from the hitter's strength.
Hershiser started and stopped as we await the 3-2 pitch to Fielder.
I wonder if that was a mechanical stop or whether he had a change of heart in the middle of the delivery and thought better about throwing that pitch. Whoops. It didn't look mechanical.
Now the 3-2. 2 out and a breaking ball.
Actually, not a bad breaking ball to take a hack at. Hung up over the middle of the plate, but Fielder with the big swing, falling off balance, stumbling across the plate. A good tight rotation on that slider. Starts over the inside corner, breaks it right over the heart of the plate.
Now Hayes skies one to center. Back-to-back 1-2-3 innings for Oral Hershiser. He's dialed in doing his part. Comey, Justice, Williams coming up for the Indians, down 1.
Doc Gooden has thrown 85 pitches through 5 innings. Graham Lloyd, the left-hander, Ramiro Mendoza, the right-hander. Here's what we think is going through Joe Torre's mind right now. Doc Gooden will be allowed to pitch to Tomey. If Tomey gets on, one would think that Lloyd would come in to pitch to Justice, and then Ramiro Mendoza after Justice. Otherwise, there's no reason really to have Graham Lloyd up right now. We assume that's what Joe is thinking about this point.
Awful big risk in a one-run game with a guy like Tomey at the plate. They stick with Gooden, who misses for ball 1. One and one.
Now, see, that would be the other way to go, to bring in Lloyd, but Gooden has looked so good for the last 3 innings. Only 1 hit over the last 3, 2 base runners for the Indians. I think Joe's trying to bleed that hot hand for as long as he can.
He's up on the count, 1-2 on Tomey.
And because Joe Torre also has left-hander Mike Stanton in reserve down in that bullpen, he can afford to burn the left-hander Graham Lloyd to come in and get 1 big out should he feel that that's a turning point in the ballgame. Well, the David Wells complete game yesterday really gave the Yankees a chance to get a breather down in that bullpen. They should be healthy, fresh, and ready to go.
1-2 on Tomey. 1 away. And how much more do you want from Dwight Gooden if you're the Yankees? He struck out 5. Here he is pitching in the 6th inning, and he goes through Jim Thome.
Well, he's really had his way with Jim Thome tonight. He misses with the first breaking ball, the second one for a strike, the third one for a swinging strike, and then once again, as he did back in the 3rd inning, Thome swings over the inside curveball.
That's the biggest difference in Gooden in the early innings, the first 2, and the last 3 1/3. He has gone to the curveball. Joe Girardi is not going to let him get beat on that fastball right now, not with Justice, who had homered off a fastball earlier. He may throw in the fastball, but not to hit.
Two on Yankees in the 6th inning. Caught the outside corner on 1.
Well, Joe Girardi does such a good job of receiving that outside fastball.
Excellent.
He has his palm facing the left-handed batter when he catches the ball. Many catchers will catch it with their palm facing down. Take the pitch out of the strike zone and then try to frame it back in and fool the umpire. Girardi has that palm facing home plate and a stiff wrist when he catches the ball and locks the pitch right on the corner.
Doc Gooden looking for his first postseason win. This is 7th effort. Falls behind Justice, 2-1.
I'm David Justice. I look for the breaking ball here. You have the luxury of being ahead in the count. If he throws a nasty one, you take it. Here it comes.
Justice went. Tried to check his swing, and it's a 2-2 count.
That's a great pitch to a left-handed batter that likes the ball down and in. That slider starts in the happy zone. Justice starts his swing, and then the bottom falls out of that slider, goes out of the strike zone. Very tough pitch for a left-hander to handle if you've got good movement on that slider.
The other way, but foul. And it's still 2-2. Thome struck out to start the inning. Now 2-2 on Justice.
Tried to come back with that same slider down and in, get Justice to swing again. This time it was a little bit too high. Justice doesn't bite.
A 1-out walk. And the tying run is on for Cleveland in the 6th inning right now for a Miller Lite game break. Back to Chip Carey in Hollywood.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. Dwight Gooden has a good one going. So did Mike Mussina today. He was absolutely fantastic against the Mariners, winning both starts, struck out 16 Mariners in 14 innings. The ALCS Wednesday on Fox. Baltimore's pitching has been outstanding. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you, Chip.
3-2 slider. Gooden wanted that pitch. It appeared to hang up a little bit too high.
Now the tying run is on. 1 out for Cleveland. Matt Williams at the plate. Ball 1 from Gooden.
Matt Williams has hit 2 rockets in this game. One a double off the center field wall, and one sending Ray Sanchez, the second baseman, to his right. He, more than any other Indian hitter tonight, is locked in on Gooden. He doesn't bite for that breaking ball away, or hasn't yet.
Takes it for a strike, 1-1. of the scoring done in the first 2 innings. Yankees got 2 in the first. Indians got a run in the second and a home run by Justice. He's at first here with 1 out. And a drive to left center field. At the track, Williams says he has it. 1 step in front of the wall, 2 out.
Matt Williams just missed hitting that pitch off the scoreboard. Hit it on the good part of the bat, just got under it a little bit too far. The hanging breaking ball. He knows he just missed one right there.
Matt Williams just missed a grand slam in game 1. And he just misses a 2-run homer to put the Indians up here. Collective sigh of relief in the New York area. And on the 99th pitch, his next pitch would be his 100th. And remember, we told you that Joe Torre said it would be about 100 pitches. After that curveball to Williams, you got to think Joe's leaning toward Mendoza. He wants Gooden to tell him the truth. Now he's talking to Girardi. Okay, I trust you, but you better tell me the truth. And it looked like they did.
A similar meeting on the mound during last year's World Series between Joe Torre and David Cohn. Although this situation not as tight. The tying run is on. 2 out. Sandy Alomar, who hit 21 home runs during the regular season, digs in. One on, 2 out. Ball 1 to Alomar. Little squirter, third baseline, tough play, Gooden. Base hit.
Joe Torre looks like he wants to make a move. Does he bring in Lloyd to get Giles out of the game? This a little swinging bunt in no man's land. Neither Girardi nor Gooden could make the play, particularly after Girardi slides into Gooden. I think you go with the left-hander, make Cleveland make a move, and put the right-handed batter in there.
That's the decision here for Joe Torre. Do you want Giles against a right-hander, Mendoza, or do you bring in the left-hander and force the hand of the Indians? You might see Seitzer. What an effort tonight by Dwight Gooden, looking for his first postseason win. Well, you just have to smile when you look at Dwight Gooden and think of where he has been, what he's trying to do here tonight, and this play that goes for a base hit, guys, is the one that ends his night.
And a heads-up play at the end of that play by Tino Martinez. He saw the collision between Girardi and Gooden, a possibility for an errant throw. Martinez comes off the bag in a defensive ready position in the event of a bad throw.
Graham Lloyd, the left-hander, will take over. And of the decision for Mike Hargrove, as Giles is lifted, he had either really Fernandez or Seitzer, and he'll go with Tony Fernandez. 2 on, 2 out, 2-1 Yankees in the 6th.
Well, not much of a sample, but Fernandez has seen Graham Lloyd twice. He's 0 for 2. Brian Giles has seen him twice. He's 2 for 2. By going with Tony Fernandez, you're going with a guy who had 2 hits in Game 2 of the division series. And also, from a defensive standpoint, you could put Fernandez in at second base and move Biff Roberts into left field. So it's an easier manipulation of your defense at the same time.
One and one on Fernandez. Talked about this in Game 2 when Tony Fernandez was in the lineup. Highest batting averages in the American League against left-handed pitchers, and Fernandez, number 2 on the list. White Gooden has handed this game over to a very capable New York bullpen. To third, but foul, and strike 2. For 10 in the last 2 games for the Indians with runners in scoring position. Justice, the tying run, the lead runner at second. The go-ahead run is the trailer Alomar at first, and time call.
Well, David Justice is not the fastest runner on this Indians team, but he is getting a great secondary lead off of second base. Takes his initial lead off right there as the pitch is delivered to home plate. He's getting 3, 4, 5 huge crow hops off of second base, and his momentum is moving towards third. And with 2 strikes and 2 outs, he'll have to be breaking as soon as Tony Fernandez starts that bat. Justice has been on second base for a couple of at-bats now and had a chance to peer in there at those signs. You always have to be careful of those veterans, perhaps relaying something to the hitter, Tony Fernandez. He's already out with the word with Graham Lloyd.
2 on, 2 out. 2 and 2 on Fernandez. To the left side for Hayes. Good play to smother it. The bases are loaded.
That in-between hop that had "eat 'em up" written all over it. This ball with that overspin right there, there's nothing Charlie Hayes can do but try to smother it. Now he almost kicks it and intelligently does not make a foolish throw to first base. And the only play he has is at first base because the Yankees were not holding Sandy Alomar on first. He got a great jump on contact. No play at second. Charlie Hayes has to eat it. Yeah, there was no way Graham Lloyd was going to pitch to Marquise Grissom with Ramiro Mendoza warming up. It's an error on Charlie Hayes, but a tough error at that.
Tough error. He kept the ball on the infield, and it takes something else for the Cleveland Indians to do damage here in the 6th inning. Another pitching change for the Yankees. Bases loaded for the Indians when we come back. Cleveland, Ohio, Jacobs Field. Remember, tomorrow, if necessary. That means if Cleveland wins here tonight, it comes down to 1 game between the Yankees and Indians, and you will find it here on Fox tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Hope you join us if it is played. The Indians and their fans hoping that is the case as they have loaded the bases with 2 out here in the 6th inning, and they will deal with sidearm pitcher Jeff Nelson.
I think Joe Torre feels this is a better matchup against Marquise Grissom than the hard-throwing sinker ball of Ramiro Mendoza. Marquise Grissom, a good fastball hitter. Jeff Nelson with the sidearm delivery, throws the fastball, throws that frisbee breaking ball, a very flat, wide breaking slider. A better matchup against Marquise Grissom.
You know, this may be going too much into it, but what may enter Joe's thinking is that Mendoza's sinker is so good and Grissom's speed is so good that a high chopper with the bases loaded could score a run of the infield hit variety. Maybe.
3 grand slams in his career. Just looking for a hit. Bases loaded, 2 out, 2-1 New York here in the 6th.
Very unorthodox delivery from Jeff Nelson. A little hesitation in the middle. Drops down low 3/4, at times all the way down to sidearm.
90 miles an hour and a strike on the foul ball, 1-1. This guy's been pounding away for the Indians for years. Moved from Municipal Stadium here at Jacobs Field. Indians with the bases loaded, 2 out for Grissom. Strike 2.
He missed the 0-1 pitch by fouling it back. This pitch too high to handle.
Jeff Nelson, the pitcher that came on in Game 1 with the bases loaded, threw 1 pitch to Matt Williams. The 7th inning, leading by a couple, and Williams flying to the wall in right, caught by Paul O'Neill. Gooden started the inning. Lloyd in the middle, and now Nelson trying to end this long 6th. Pop up to the right side. Sanchez is there, and Jeff Nelson has done it again. Doc Gooden still in line for the win. It's up to the Yankee bullpen. Back for the 7th after this from your local Fox station. Bib Roberts moves from second base to left field. Tony Fernandez, who reached on the error as a pinch hitter, takes over at second. We get into the 7th. Hershiser back to work. 2-1 New York, and Girardi leads it off, takes the ball. It'll be Girardi, Sanchez, and Tim Raines for the Yankees up by a run. Just to put a cap on that 6th inning for Cleveland. A pop-up by Grissom. They've now left 8 and are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. Girardi grounds out to start the 7th inning.
We talked about it before, and in the 1st inning, Brian Giles comes up with a defensive play of the game. Valentino Martinez at home plate. At the time, it was 2-0 Yankees. That would have made it 3-0 or 3-1 right now at the very least. So even though Brian Giles is out of the ball game, he has contributed mightily so far tonight.
Hershiser has retired 10 in a row as he deals ball 1 to Ray Sanchez. Tried to bunt his way on his last time up. Questionable call on his part. Hershiser took care of it. The putout was scored 1-3. Tim Raines will follow. Strike 2. He may be 39 and contemplating retirement, but he can still pitch.
We talked about that look earlier in the game. He had it even when the Yankees scored the 2 runs. That play by Brian Giles energized Hershiser.
Well, Felix in his bag of tricks. You may have noticed the last couple of innings, Hershiser has started to drop down himself on some of the pitches. Drop down on the slider, make it break a little bit wider. Drop down a little bit further on the sinker, try to get a little more movement on that pitch.
and Paul Assenmacher ready for the Indians here in the 7th. Still 2-2.
Checking the charts, checking all those statistics and numbers that they have available on the bench, the matchups. Yankee hitters against Mike Hargrove's pitchers. What changes may Joe Torre make should Hargrove decide to go to the bullpen?
Hershiser approaching 100 pitches. This is number 91 coming up on 2-2 to Sanchez. Two out. Before Raines walks in, we'll give you our Aflac trivia question. Last night, Paul O'Neill hit the 4th grand slam in AL Divisional Series history. Who hit the other 3? You only have to think back to 1995.
And my short-term memory is shot. I can't remember yesterday's game.
I can remember 30 years ago better than I can what I had for breakfast this morning.
Raines, who, if you remember, grounded out to second in the 1st, grounded out to 1st in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th, and ate oatmeal this morning. Andy Pettitte would tow it up tomorrow night in Game 5 if there is Game 5. 1-1 on Raines. Jared Wright will do the same for Cleveland. Two balls and a strike and a visit from Alomar to Hershiser. Up and down this Yankee lineup. Take a look. Raines hitless. Looking for his first right here. Jeter a couple of hits early. Paul O'Neill gets in on the fun again with one of the first inning RBIs. Cecil Fielder has the other. Three and one on Raines.
Looks like Hershiser's thinking with Raines up there is to stay away. If he hits a mistake away, it's a single. If he hits one inside, could be a long ball.
Into left center field, a hit. First of the night for Raines, and as Grissom bobbles it, Raines took a wide turn, but he's at first with 2 out. Well, have you thought about it long enough? Our Aflac trivia question. Last night, Paul O'Neill hit the 4th grand slam in AL Divisional Series history. Who hit the other 3? Edgar Martinez for Seattle. New Yorkers remember that. In October of '95, Bobby Bonilla. Last year for Baltimore, Albert Bell. Last year for the Indians on our Aflac trivia answer.
You could run that recorder back again for Joe Torre talking to Doc Gooden. How do you feel? Joe talking to Doc. Doc said he feels fine. The same answer, too.
The only change that'll take place here in the 7th inning is that Chad Curtis takes over to run at first for Tim Raines.
They were just judging from Hershiser's performance and how much he wants this game. There was no way that Mike Hargrove could have taken him out to face Derek Jeter. Now, maybe Paul O'Neill, we may see Assenmacher, but Hershiser will be throwing to first base a few times to try to keep Curtis close, too.
Jeter's 2 out of 3. Hard hit, but Vizquel takes care of it to force out 2 in the inning. I'll say it again. He's done his job. Time to stretch. Indian fans just got a head start. It's a beautiful night in Cleveland, and it has been a fun night in Cleveland from high above. Our shots are from the Goodyear blimp, Stars and Stripes. Our thanks to Captain Ash and the entire crew. The beautiful shots they have provided Fox Sports here tonight. Jacobs Field in Cleveland, Ohio. We move to the bottom of the 7th inning. Top of the order, Roberts, Vizquel, and Ramirez. Yankees leading 2-1. Nelson back to work in ball 1. Chad Curtis, who took over on the bases for Tim Raines, now takes over defensively and left. Strike 2 from Jeff Nelson.
Very nice looking backdoor slider there from Jeff Nelson from the Laredo angle. The sidearm slider starts off the outside corner, nips the outside corner. Can't reach it.
Breaking ball and a ground ball to Sanchez. Bibb Roberts tonight is 0 for 4. As we play here in the 7th inning, we remind you that at the end of today's game, Tim, Bob, and I will be selecting the Chevy Truck Player of the Game. All of the scoring in the first 2 innings, the Yankees got 2. An RBI double by Paul O'Neill. And a base hit with 2 out from Cecil Fielder to score a run. And the Yankees got 2 in the first. Hershiser settled down from there on. And then in the second for Cleveland, a leadoff home run from David Justice, followed by a double by Williams. But Gooden in the bullpen through the rest of the night, hanging on to this 1-run lead. Hard hit to the right side. Sanchez. What a play, but safe at first.
What a play it would have been. You've heard of the triple-double in basketball. Watch the double flip by Sanchez. Once, twice, strong throw, but errant throw backed up by Girardi. Oh, what body control to know where he is in the course of those barrel rolls and be able to get to his feet and have his body pointed towards first base, at least in a position to make a throw.
No surprise that it's ruled a base hit for Vizquel, his second of the night, and here is Ramirez, who is struggling. Strike 1 from Nelson.
You could see Nelson with that slide step. He barely came to a stop. It was almost a balk. And the reason he has to hurry his throws home like that, he's tall, it's a tough time unwinding. 13 out of 15 that have tried have stolen against him this year.
There goes Vizquel. Had a good jump, but Ramirez fouled away strike 2.
Yeah, that walking lead at first base, Nelson didn't make him stop. He would have stolen that base easily off Jeff Nelson. Much like back in the 3rd inning after drawing a leadoff walk, Vizquel was allowed to get his momentum moving towards second base. At the time, Doc Gooden did not make him stop. Vizquel off and running, stole the base easily without a throw from Joe Girardi. Sometimes you don't make a runner stop if his feet are stopped. Sometimes by leaning towards second base, he gets as much momentum because that carries that back leg across. One of the best deterrents for the stolen base is to make him wait.
Tying run is Vizquel at first with 1 out. Yankees leading 2-1 in the 7th, 0-2 on Manny Ramirez.
Jeff Nelson trying to keep all those fastballs up above the belt of Manny Ramirez. We documented earlier, a very, very good low ball hitter. That is the direction that most of those sinkers are going to take from Jeff Nelson, so he's really making an effort to keep those pitches up. Ramirez only able to foul it back. Hear that expression often when describing a pitcher, sinker slider. Nelson has a tailer more than he does a sinker. His ball tails in on the right-handed batter rather than sinking in like a guy like Ramiro Mendoza's pitches do.
Vizquel running, and he'll have to come back.
A perfect example right there, Tim. That ball starts out over the heart of the plate and tails back in, jamming Manny Ramirez, and once again a great jump by Vizquel. Here's the pitch. You'll see that fastball starts over the heart of the plate, runs back in just enough that it hits down near the trademark, turns into a foul ball. Boy, Vizquel had a huge jump once again at first base. I think if Joe Torre can see Nelson get Ramirez out of there, then he can bring the left-hander Mike Stanton in to pitch to Tomey. And he's protected both ways against the stolen base and the left-handed batter.
Ramirez right at Hayes. 2 gone.
This ball is smoked, folks. And you can see Charlie Hayes not guarding the line here in the 7th inning. Yankees with a 1-run lead, playing in his routine position, and was right there to catch that line drive.
With Tomey coming up, we expect to see Mike Stanton. Keep this in mind. If pitching and defense wins championships, this New York bullpen now 11 complete shutout innings in this series. Coming into Game 4 tonight, through the first 3 games, the Yankee bullpen 9 2/3 innings pitched, no runs allowed. And now you can update that to 11 as we play here in Game 4, an ERA of 0. They've used Lloyd, Nelson, and now we'll go to the left-hander Stanton here in the 7th.
Not only does this give Joe Torre the lefty-lefty matchup at the plate, but also with Vizquel at first base, the great speed. He's had a great jump a couple of times during the course of the at-bat to Manny Ramirez on foul balls. Perhaps shorten up that lead at first base and not allow Vizquel to steal in this situation. That's why Joe Torre and the Yankees were praying that somehow they could get Ramirez out of there. And it was the toughest way possible. He hit a laser to Charlie Hayes at third base. Had it been by Hayes at second and third, now you bring Stanton in. You don't have to worry about the stolen base. You have to worry about Tomey and Justice.
We have Mike, the first base coach, Dave Nelson for the Indians. Here are his thoughts on what's about to transpire.
You know what? He's going to try to get ahead of Jimmy right away. But he's not going to make him hit a fastball. I think he's going to throw him breaking ball first pitch.
I think what Dave Nelson's trying to do is to determine, along with Vizquel, what the best pitch to run on would be. If you can pick the breaking ball up, it's slower. The chance of it being in the dirt is better. So that's what he's talking to Vizquel about. If you're going to choose a pitch on which to run, choose the breaking ball.
Tying run at first, 2 out here in the 7th.
Now there was that 5-1 sign for the pickoff again, but a little twist. Joe Girardi made Mike Stanton shake his head before signaling for the throw to first base. Plant that seed in the runner's mind that the pitcher is shaking off a pitch, right? Because you normally wouldn't shake off a throw to first base. Another one. Here it comes again. Now this was the first pitch. Mike Stanton on the mound. Vizquel at first. Joe Girardi
Watch him shake his head back and forth. Mike Stanton shook his head no, which usually would indicate he was shaking off a pitch, trying to decoy that runner.
And here comes your first pitch breaking ball. Up and in for ball one. 2 out of 8 is Thome, career against Stanton.
Oh, those tangled webs we weave when first we practice. 2-2.
Well, Vizquel doing a little deceiving of his own down at first base. He took a leadoff as if he was going to delayed steal that time.
Yeah.
Took a couple of big crow hops off the bag and then froze, waiting to see what happened at home plate.
Over the outside corner for a strike. 93 miles per hour from the left-hander. It's 2-1.
More deception than Langley, Virginia. Wednesday night, the ALCS opens near Langley, Virginia, in Baltimore.
To the left side and out of play. 2-2. Thome, who hit 40 home runs during the regular season, has Vizquel at first with 2 out and a 2-2 count. Stanton blows him away. And that Yankee bullpen dominance continues through 7 here in Cleveland. Game 4, 2-1 New York. Our game summaries, we get into the 8th inning here in Game 4 with the Yankees trying to close out this division series. New York 2 runs on 4 hits in the first inning. Doubles by Jeter and O'Neill. They lost a man at the plate. That was Martinez. David Justice, the only RBI for Cleveland, a solo shot in the second. Oral Hershiser, what a turnaround after the first 2 innings. In fact, at one point, retired 11 in a row. He is finished after 7, and Doc Gooden is in line for his first postseason win if the Yankees can hang on. And as Paul Assenmacher takes over, you have to ask the question, although you can't say it's likely, but you have to wonder, did we just see last inning the final pitch in Oral Hershiser's career? He is seriously contemplating hanging it up at the end of this season.
And keep in mind, there will be 2 more teams added to Major League Baseball next year, and pitching is always at a premium, especially veteran pitchers that know their way around the game.
O'Neill starts the 8th inning with a base hit to center facing Assenmacher.
Ted Williams was once asked if he guessed as a hitter, and he said, I guess. Well, Paul O'Neill came up to the plate looking for a fastball then and smoked it to center field. Otherwise, you can't hit it if you don't look for a fastball off Assenmacher because he throws so many breaking balls.
Here's Bernie Williams, 1 on, nobody out. Yankees trying to pad their 8th inning lead. Oh for 3 tonight is Williams, and 1 out of 12 in this series. Mike Jackson getting ready. So you've got Williams up now. Tino Martinez, a left-hander, on deck. One and one on Williams.
Well, Paul Ossenmacher had been so effective throughout the regular season for Mike Hargrove and the Indians, but in the postseason, 2/3 of an inning in Game 1, gave up a hit, a walk, a run scored. 2/3 of an inning in Game 2, walked a batter, and he later came around to score when Jose Mesa hit Mike Stanley with a pitch with the bases loaded. Well, Mariano Rivera warming up. You would think that Joe Torre would allow Stanton, the left-hander, pitch to David Justice and then bring in Rivera. No more than 5 outs he'd have to record in a 9-inning ball game.
Over the outside corner, 2-2. Take a look at the list for the Yankees. Postseason home runs. The all-time leaders, Mantle out in front by 3 over Babe Ruth. And at the bottom of the list, Bernie Williams with 8. Of course, extra rounds now with which to work. But Bernie Williams still very early in his career. Bob, how would you rate the pickoff move of Paul Ossenmacher?
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I'd say it's probably about a 2. All the things that a left-hander tries to do to disguise his pickoff move, Paul Ossenmacher does not do. A lot of people go with the thinking that if it's that bad, don't throw over there. Absolutely. They'll never know how bad it is. Don't show it. Don't let them see how poor that pickoff move is. To the sublime of Andy Bennett. You can immediately see Paul Ossenmacher's upper body rocking back. His head rocks back.
Still 2-2 on Williams.
And Bernie Williams has gotten a couple of good breaking balls to hit. Fouled them both off to the third base side, unable to stay back and stay inside the ball and keep it fair. The approach on that slider from Paul Ossenmacher. Bernie Williams continues to be out in front, hit the top half of the ball, foul it off, foul it off, foul it off. If you're thinking right field on this pitch, you can drive this ball a long way. See, that's a breaking ball right over the heart of the plate. Bernie Williams just jumping out there a little bit too quickly. Of course, with 2 strikes, he's very much in a defensive mode up there at the plate, just trying to foul off anything around that zone. Those have been 3 good pitches to hit.
One away. Right now for a Miller Lite game break. Back to Chip Carey in Hollywood.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Yankee fans everywhere hoping that today will be just like a year ago today, when the Yankees knocked off the Rangers and moved on into the ALCS. If there's a Game 5, we'll have it tomorrow. If not, the ALCS again Wednesday here on Fox. Back to you at the JV.
Thank you, Chip. Here is Tino Martinez, 1 on, 1 out. Likely the last hitter for Ossenmacher. 1 on, 1 out. Cecil Fielder on deck, and Mike Jackson in the Indian bullpen. Strike 2.
Fielders at 2 again.
Had him reaching, and it's foul.
Interesting thing about that play is Dave Phillips is not supposed to make that call. The home plate umpire is supposed to make it before it gets to first base. And you could hear Dave Phillips making the call first. Watch home plate umpire Greg Kost. See, Dave Phillips is not following Kost, the home plate umpire. But before the ball gets to first, it's the home plate umpire's call, not the first base umpire's. The left-handed hitters around the league are well aware of Paul Ossenmacher's slider. There's 3 of them. That one close foul. Number 4, see you later.
Mike Hargrove out to take the handoff from Ossenmacher. Mike Jackson will enter. Cecil Fielder due up for the Yankees here in the 8th. They lead 2-1. Have 1 on with 2 out. Remember, Wednesday night, it's Game 1 of the 1997 ALCS in Baltimore. The Orioles taking on the winner of this series. Coverage begins 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox on Wednesday night. And as Mike Jackson deals strike 1 to Cecil Fielder, we remind you, if necessary, Game 5 of this series tomorrow night, again here on Fox. Quickly an 0-2 count.
And that's probably the last fastball Cecil Fielder will see during the course of this at bat. It's like Paul Ossenmacher. Mike Jackson's best pitch is a slider, a very sharp, late-breaking slider. We saw Fielder chase a lot of bad sliders earlier against Oral Hershiser. I wouldn't expect him to see another fastball this at bat. And if he does throw a fastball, it will not be in a location where Fielder can hurt him. That was a mistake with the slider. That slider not where Mike Jackson wanted it. With the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Look at Alomar sitting off the plate away. That ball tails back over the plate, really backed up over the outside part of the plate. That slider was hittable right there.
O'Neill running, and Fielder fights it off.
Well, he did get another fastball, but it was in a good location, up and in right on the fist. You take a look at Mike Jackson's scouting report. He throws that fastball in the mid-90s with late movement, late breaking slider. He probably will not throw a changeup in this situation, but he will work both sides of the plate, and we've seen him do that already on Cecil Fielder.
O'Neill was running on that last pitch. In on his hands, and it stays 0-2.
Well, that was an inside slider. We mentioned Jackson throws this pitch to both sides of the plate. This is supposed to start at Cecil Fielder and break across the inside corner, and Cecil does a pretty good job of fighting that pitch off.
That's a very good point, Bob, because you could see Alomar was set up inside. It wasn't one of those where he was set up outside and had to move back over the inside part of the plate.
For the second year in a row, Mike Hargrove and the Indians facing elimination in the Division Series round, losing 3-1 a year ago to the Orioles.
Somebody's relaxed.
Hey, for all the pressure there is in this kind of a ball game with everything that's at stake, if you're a true competitor, you gotta love it. Hey, you just tingle all over. Every pitch means something.
The 1997 American League Division Series on Fox is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Burger King, where you get your burgers worth. By Gillette Sensor Excel and the Gillette Series, Gillette, the best a man can get. And by Oracle, the company that's enabling the information age through network computing.
One of the best baseball cities around the major leagues. They pack them into Jacobs Field night after night, day after day. The biggest crowd ever at this ballpark saw Game 3, 45,274. Just a little less tonight, 45,231. We are into the bottom of the 8th inning. Justice, Williams, Alomar. Stanton back to work. White Gooden lasted 5 2/3 innings. Only 1 run on 5 hits. It's been the Yankee bullpen ever since. Strike 2 on Justice.
2 nasty fastballs on the outside corner by a former teammate, Mike Stanton. And this will probably be Stanton's last guy with Matt Williams on deck. Then we'll see Ramirez. Mariano Rivera, I beg your pardon.
3 pitches, 1 out.
And you know, nobody's going to hit these pitches. You can look for these fastballs, and you're not going to hit them. You can foul them off, but that's about it. 3 fastballs, shredding the outside corner. Oh, man, those are nasty.
Well, and I'll say it once again, Joe Girardi does an outstanding job of holding that ball on the outside corner, really giving the umpire a good look.
Stanton does his job. Came on to strike out Tomey in the 7th. Strikes out Justice to start the 8th. Back to the bullpen goes Joe Torre. Bottom of the 8th inning. Yankees hanging on by 1 run. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning with the Yankees leading 2-1. 1 out in this frame. This Tuesday, can 3 divorced guys juggle fatherhood and dating without losing their minds? Find out when Paul Reiser and Janine Garofalo star in the network premiere of Bye Bye Love, Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, here on Fox.
Mariano Rivera with that high fastball. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the last 5 half innings have been bottom of 9th innings.
That's the way it's felt. Back in the 6th inning when the Indians left the bases loaded, in the 7th inning when they had 2 pitchers from their bullpen, both Nelson and Stanton, and now here in the 8th. And a strike on Matt Williams, who's 1 for 3. You cannot say enough about this Yankee bullpen. Now 11 2/3 scoreless innings in this series. That'll get out of play, and strike 2 on Williams.
Tim, you mentioned that high explosive fastball from Mariano Rivera, but I think that second bullet point, the fact that he lulls the hitters to sleep with that deceptive motion, he hides the ball very well, and in order to be successful, you have to make him get the ball down in the zone.
It's almost like he's using someone else's arm when he throws. How can a guy that thin throw that hard?
And you can see the sign from Girardi, fastball, and he put his palm towards the sky, lift it up, get it up, get it up.
He has Williams set up at 1-2. Fought it off, and the fly ball to right for Paul O'Neill. 2 out here in the 8th.
Rivera is listed as 6'2", we'll give him that, and 168. I don't think he weighs 160 pounds. But how can a guy with his frame throw that hard? It's really remarkable.
Hear a lot of big league ball players say the same about Pedro Martinez of the Montreal Expos.
Right.
96 miles per hour from Rivera. Ball 1 high to Sandy Alomar. Jose Cardinal always working to position that defense. 2-0 on Alomar.
Well, the thing is, with Rivera pitching, you don't want an overshift too much. Play guys straight away. Make them catch up to the fastball.
Into right field, well hit. Track, wall, tied. What a year. What a year for Sandy Alomar Jr. Now Fernandez. The final out in the 8th inning. These Cleveland fans saying, don't let it end. Sandy Alomar goes opposite field, and after 8, game 4, tie.
We said that the outfield was positioned for the hitter to catch up to the fastball. Well, Alomar did. Unbelievable.
Strike 1 to Charlie Hayes leading off the 9th.
Well, Sandy Alomar ever had any political aspirations, this would be the time to run for mayor of Cleveland. 7th inning home run in the All-Star game, soon to be the game winner. Home run tonight to tie it up.
Here's Joe Torre's reaction. Hayes trying to fight his way on base to start this 9th inning. Jackson closed out the 8th by striking out fielders. 2-2.
On the line at the right time was Jim Thome. Mike Hargrove put him there. Had he not been there, that could very easily have been a double for Charlie Hayes.
Well, Mike Jackson does such a good job of setting up that slider. He threw 2 fastballs just off the outside corner, comes back with the slider a little bit further inside, but moving away. Got the defensive swing from Charlie Hayes.
Now Girardi takes a strike. to Johnson. 2 out. Now the number 9 hitter, Ray Sanchez, with 2 out, nobody on here in the top of the 9th, game tied at 2.
And now Matt Williams turned to guard the line down at third base, taking away potential doubles.
It's starting left fielder Brian Giles back in the first inning. Bob Brenly, who knew how big this play would be?
2 runs already in for the Yankees. 2 outs, runners at first and second. Charlie Hayes with a base hit to left. Brian Giles comes up firing and guns out Tino Martinez at home plate. Didn't seem like that significant of a play at the time, but one more run would be awfully big right now.
I think this is a good move by Joe Torre. He brings in Ramiro Mendoza, who worked 3 1/3 innings to get the win in Game 1. He saves Mariano Rivera in the process to bring him back tomorrow night if necessary. Mendoza can go deeper in the game, and Joe wasn't going to get any more than an inning out of Rivera anyway.
Grissom, Roberts, and Vizquel. The numbers for Grissom, and as you watch Mendoza pitch, realize the job he did in Game 1. Only Brian Bollringer is left out in that bullpen for New York. Mendoza was our player of the game in Game 1. He got the win. Little flare off the bat of Grissom, falling in a hurry, base hit.
Well, right before that pitch, Jose Cardinal, the defensive coordinator for the Yankees, stepped up on the top step of the dugout and moved Bernie Williams deeper into center field. Marquise Grissom gets jammed. It's a little floater out there. Ends up with a base hit. I don't know that Bernie Williams could have made the play anyway, but the Yankees were playing deep.
Now you expect a bunt from Vip Roberts. Potential winning run at first with nobody out in the 9th.
I think if you bunt with Roberts right here, what you may have is the Yankees pitching to Omar Vizquel, because you've got the heart of the order after him.
Perfect bunt. Sanchez, a heck of a play to complete the sacrifice 4-3. And down to second is Grissom. Roberts did his job.
Only the good fundamental play of Ray Sanchez allows him to make this play a great bunt out into no man's land. Sanchez did not cheat towards first base early. He started to move that way, but he was not running across the infield. That allowed him to change his direction, come back, make the barehanded play on the great bunt by Vip Roberts.
And now Omar Vizquel with Grissom carrying the winning run in his back pocket. A strike from Mendoza.
Bernie Williams has moved up to where if the ball's hit hard up the middle, Bernie would probably have a play on Marquise Grissom if the ball's hit hard enough.
Off Mendoza, base hit. There will be Game 5 tomorrow night.
Not stopped that ball or misdirected it, Bernie Williams indeed would have had a play on Marquise Grissom. But the minute he gave a skate save, the ball hit off the backhand of the glove. Jeter could not change directions just under the glove.
Sandy Alomar senses good things about to happen, and he's the reason why they happen. 8th inning home run against Mariano Rivera tied the game.
Lost in all this is the night for Omar Vizquel. As you look at Grissom at the plate, saved easily. Vizquel, 3 hits, a walk, a stolen base, and the game-winning RBI hit. There is tonight's Chevy Trucks player of the game, Sandy Alomar. You could make a very strong case for Oral Hershiser. Doc Gooden did everything he could tonight to get his first postseason victory, but it was not to be. It was Alomar who went the other way off Rivera to tie the game in the 8th inning.
It was also Sandy Alomar who made the tag when Brian Giles made the throw in the 1st inning. As you said, Bob, little do you know when that play happens how important a play it was some 3 hours and 15 minutes ago.
You know, also lost in the shuffle here is the fact we documented early in the ballgame the Indians bullpen has not been getting the job done. The Yankees bullpen has. Tonight, Paul Ossenmacher, Mike Jackson step up in a big way, put some zeros on the board, and gave the offense a chance to come back and win the ball game.
We have enjoyed so much bringing you Game 4 and look forward to tomorrow night's game. We want to remind you that the senior coordinating producer of Major League Baseball on Fox and the producer of today's game is John Filippelli. Today's game directed by Bill Webb. The pregame coordinating producer Scott Ackerson, and the pregame is produced by Gary Lang, directed by Bob Levy. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown, and the executive producers of Fox Sports, David Hill and Ed Gorin. Special thanks to Kathy Hunt, Lance Garrett, Steve Horn, Barry Landis, Derek Manning, a cast of seemingly thousands. Oral Hershiser did all he could. Dwight Gooden did all he could. And tonight, the 8th inning home run to tie it, the 9th inning hit to win it. And don't forget, we'll be back with more playoff action tomorrow night as these two teams meet again, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, in Game 5 for the right to advance to the American League Championship Series for a showdown with the Baltimore Orioles starting next Wednesday night right here on Fox. What a night in Cleveland, and this series breathes on to Game 5. Tomorrow night, Pettit, Jared Wright. Jacobs Field, this place erupted on that swing by Vizquel.